Hey, Chidarin. Alrighty, here we are.
Your recognition honors
Oh,
me.
thank you so much for the sub. Oh, that's so precious of you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I hope everything is looking alright. Yep, everything's good. Hey, bam. Sound looks fine. Oh, Chidrin. Oh, sorry that I made you wait for me. Thank you so much. Take care, take care. Oh, precious, precious. Alright, so we have to do the leftover endings from last time. We did the Ringo one. And then we go back to this choice here and we will pick Nerine instead to get the Nerine bad end somehow, or like not so great end. I don't know what to call it. But okay, let's see. Chidori has to farm Jace from her link. Fingers crossed, Chidori. Closing my eyes, I take a moment to listen to both voices and look deep within myself. Wait, okay, I can skip this then. Okay. I look around the room. It feels like ages since I was last here. It's silent and the sewing machines lined up primly on the tables, watched over by faceless mannequins. I address them cheerfully, but of course they don't respond. Smirking at my own silly antics, I think about today's task. Talking to Nerine, with whom my relationship has become strained. She's been avoiding me deliberately, so today I'd gotten up from my seat in the classroom, marched straight over to her desk, and told her I wanted to talk. Ooh, okay. She looked shocked by my approach. With all eyes on us, I'd held out the letter I'd written in advance. It contained a simple message: meet me tonight at 10 p.m. in the textiles room. There had been much more I'd wanted to write, but once I'd started there hadn't been enough paper in the world for everything I wanted to write. Besides, I felt like putting it down on paper would somehow distort the true meaning of what I wanted to convey. I look from the clock on the wall to the forest outside the window. Intending to remain here a while, even if she never shows up, I stare out at the individual silhouettes of the trees, like I'm testing my vision. I then turn my attention to the mannequins, tracing their outlines with my eyes, as though waiting for their eyes to move like the portrait of Beethoven in the music room. Then, the sound of the door softly opening and closing reaches my ears. Biting back an urge to tell her that it's fine, that next I was going to have a grand old time staring at the sewing machines, I simply... What? Oh my god, Yuzu. I simply watch her walk toward me. Nerine asks me as I stare back at her. Oh. Her stunning beauty still makes me gasp. It's a precise beauty, like her features have been sensitively sanded to perfection by the most talented of sculptors. A delicate beauty, which the slightest slip of the chisel could utterly ruin. Taking my narrowed eyes as a sign I'm joking, she shoots me a dubious look. I think that as someone who aims to balance the scales, my vision has cleared. Okay. My vision has cleared. Now I finally have a place to belong. Okay. Which is why the trauma I sustained as a child continues to impact me today. She speaks like a priest inviting a confession, and I want to come back with the barb, but instead... Restraining myself under her earnest gaze, I decide to speak honestly, and truly open up my heart to her. I talk for a long time, seeking to thaw the wall of ice that has kept us apart. I speak of the day we met as children. of that first handshake of friendship we exchanged, of how I forced myself to wear a mask and hide my feelings in order to protect her after she returned from her spell in the hospital, and of how I don't regret any of it.
でも、ただ一つだけ後悔していることがある。僕は君との関係を壊したくないため、ずっと己を偽ってきたことだ。
Oh, this is interesting.
譲りはもう一度君へ告白する。僕はコミカドネリネが好きだ。友人としてでなく、八代譲り派として。
My emotions are running high, and I feel hot tears burning my eyes. Without realizing it, the hand held over my chest has started digging into the flesh of my breast. And I can't help but think how I wish it were Nettie's fingers on my breast. Okay! How I wish I could give my entire body to her.
譲り派、あなたの気持ちは嬉しく思う。でもね、あなたは逃避しているだけなのよ。
She speaks as though trying to explain things to a child, and I dig my fingers into my chest even harder. Oy.
いえ、私があなたをそう仕向けたの。幼い私はあなたがすがってくるのが嬉しくて、それで逃避して何が悪い。
Cutting her off, I repeat my question again.
ネリーにとっての真実と僕にとっての真実は違う。君は自分の行ったことを悔いているようだが、僕には救いだった。逃避？違うね。典型だよ。
Looking down, she seems to be chewing on my words. Then she raises her head ever so slightly.
でもあなたは佐々木凛吾さんとお付き合いしている。
She says. Suddenly, I recall the pained expression on Nettie's face when she walked in on us that day.
凛吾とは別れたよ。彼女と交際をやめた。僕は全てを捨てるつもりでこの場にいる。凛吾さんとそうなの。
Silence descends between us. There's too much to say. Neither of us knows where to start. A chill wind rattles the window, faint behind the heavy curtains, but terribly loud in the quiet of the room.
ねえ、譲り派。私は洗礼を受けたキリスト教徒なの。その言葉が出るのは分かっていた。
It was inevitable. Because of that one factor, Nerine Komikado cannot accept the love I'm offering her. She chews on her lip. I must be making the most pathetic face.
もう少しだけ考えさせてほしいの。
After a slight pause, I nod.
分かった。答えを待っているよ。
The sound of the wind tapping at the window is like the tolling of an ominous bell. I respond levelly. After my dialogue with Nettie, life at the academy goes back to normal. I still have my duties as president of the Council of Nicaea to attend to until after the Christmas party. And I'm also working hard practicing with the choral club for our choir performance at Christmas Day Mass. The days pass by, unchanging. And my relationship with Nerine is also unchanged. Even after that night in the textiles room, the tension between us remains the same. In fact, I feel like it only served to increase her anguish. Which is why I decide. What do you decide? Oh gosh, to try to tip the balance once again. Okay. I said I'd wait for her answer, but at the end of Christmas Mass, As we were finishing the hymn, I whispered into Neri's ear that I wanted to talk with her. I told her I'd be waiting in the chapel at 11 p.m. I can't go on like this. Not now I finally decided what I want. When I step out into the corridor, the cold creeps up my stockings to chill my thighs, making me reluctant to head outside. But
クリスマスに部屋を開けてくれなんてドンファンなこと萩原くんには言えないしね。
that would be a bit rude. She's accommodated you both in so many ways already. She's an introverted and proper girl. I can just imagine the way her face would flush crimson after a brief beat if I asked for the room to myself. Besides, I don't feel like it would be right to invite Neri over.
さて、向かうとしよう。
Turning up the collar of my cardigan, I pad quietly down the corridor of the dormitories. As expected, the air outside is bitingly cold. I regret not thinking to put on a scarf. Looking up at the dormitory building, I think how just a few short hours earlier I'd been there in the dining room, celebrating the birth of Christ. Suo-kun and Rika-kun, Yaigaki-kun and Takasaki-kun, Ichiko-kun and Ringo. Interesting. Suo and Rika are addressed by the first name. Erika and Chidori by their last names. Ichigo with the kun and Ringo without any honorifics. Interesting. They'd all been there, each dressed as Santa Claus, although they'd been in skirts rather than trousers. While their outfits were all the same, they still managed to add their own personal touches. Why can't we see them? Including Neri, of course.
写真に収めておけばよかった。
Yeah. Craning my neck up has made my throat cold. Forcing a cynical smile to my lips, I set off. I hurry away from the school building like I'm trying to outrun the cold. And toward the chapel. I almost find myself stopping to look up here too, but...
鐘楼のルーガルーに襲われてしまう。
Oh gosh. Please no. With those muttered words, I go into the building and out of the wind. The interior of the chapel isn't much warmer than outside, but it's a relief at least to be out of the biting wind. As I let out a quiet breath, I see she's already here, standing up front on the chapel. All sound abruptly grows distant, as though the air around me is thinning. Taking several surreptitious deep breaths, I walk toward her. As the distance between us lessens by one step, then two, the air grows even thinner. It's like my ears are deaf to even the loudest of sounds. The only noise is a faint metallic ringing in my ears. I can't even hear my own footsteps. Still.
待っていたわ。ゆずりは。
Her voice is so faint the wind could blow it away, but somehow it resonates in my ears. It's like her lips are right up against my earlobe.
待たせてしまったみたいだね。いえ、私が早く来てしまっただけよ。
She says, looking around the chapel as though searching for some sort of sign.
ミサでの熱気が残っているような気がする。数時間前、ここで歌っていたのよね。
I think of the hymn we'd sung at Mass and of how we'd sung it together.
二階屋の会の職務ともお別れだな。そうね。いい思い出だわ。
She looks me in the eye for the first time. Her beautiful celadon eyes meet mine.
ここへ呼び出したのは、あの日の答えを聞くためなのでしょ。
In response to her question, I nod.
あ、二階屋の会の長でない。ただの八代ゆずり派に戻った。
She closes her eyes, pondering, then reveals those beautiful orbs once again. Looking into them, I know. Neri Nekomikado has also found the resolve to tip the scales.
ねえ、ゆずり派。以前、一 一度だけあなたのお母さんと面会したことを覚えている？
ああ、僕が会ってくれとお願いした。
私はあの日、あなたが席を立ち二人きりになった時、こう切り出されたの。本当はゆずりはを友達とは思っていないのでしょう。幼い私の気持ちを見抜くように、そう告げた。
I don't care if it's a lie, but please, please. Promise my Yuzuriha. You'll always be with her in my stead.
そう告げ頼まれたの。
Having had no clue she'd had such an exchange with my mother, I'm rendered speechless.
母は私のことを思って。
幼い頃の私は傲慢だった。あなたを私の思い通りにさせようとして、あなたのお母さんは見抜いていたのよ。
そんな。
そして私はその後罰を受け大病を患った。私はそんなことで罪が許されたとは思っていない。
The curtains are shut tight across the windows to her room, blocking me from seeing inside. She's stubborn like that.
僕は気にしていない。
その言葉でほだされるほどの傷ではないの。
もう一度言う。僕は気にしていないんだ。
Although I know she's as stubborn as a glacier in an ice age. There's nothing I can do but repeat those words. Nerine, however, slowly shakes her head.
私はね、ゆずりはあの時の言葉がずっと古い傷のように残っているの。あなたと親友になったのは私の偽らざる気持ちよ。でも冬の凍えるような寒い朝に鈍い痛みから思い出すような言葉なの。
She sighs, a quiet but long and heavy sigh.
ねえゆずりは、私はあなたのことが好きよ。多分今まで会った誰よりも何よりも。でも私は確信することができないの。あなたのお母さんの言葉があったから共にあろうと決めたのか。
Her words sit heavy on my chest like a death sentence. Her voice fades and the oxygen is sucked from the air around me. Narrowing my eyes, I stare into her face, perfect as a statue's. And I smile.
私は生涯キリスト教徒として生きます。だからあなたも私のことは忘れて幸せになってください。
I want to scream at her that she is wrong. When I met Nerine Komikado, I felt alive for the very first time. I learned how warm people can be, that you can believe in goodness, and that the scent of the air changes with the season.
忘れることなんてできない。
Clutching at my chest so hard I might crush it, I glare up at Christ on the cross. Okay. Well, I'm really glad we didn't do this one last time. I wouldn't have wanted to end stream with that. That was really sad. The song is called Forked Road. Good title. Oh, there's more. There's another scene. Okay. The seasons turn, the harsh winter mellowing into spring. A calm, quiet, still spring. Plump cherry blossoms buds swell, and the green leaves of the trees seem to enhance the blue of the sky above. Spring has come. I've come to the chapel early in the morning to say my prayers. The light filtering in through the stained glass windows has softened and mellowed to the point where I can sense the change in the season just from the rays against my cheek. Narrowing my eyes, I gaze at her, knelt in prayer. My heart aches ever so slightly at the sight of her, bathed in the morning light.
冬の朝に思い出す古傷の痛み
I was disappointed in love. The pain my heart sustained that day still hasn't fully faded. Even on this warm spring morning, if I look for it, it's there. Deep in my heart, somewhere no one can touch, there's a scar from back when it was broke. It stings every time I see her there, fervently offering up her prayers.
私がしたことは愚かだったろうか
I silently address the statue of Christ on the cross. Could I have been with her always, had I not tried to tip the scales and seek a place of my own? Was I wrong to choose her, hurting Ringo Sasaki in the process? I look up at the ever-silent figure of Christ, enveloped in gentle light, and yet again question my choices.
間違いじゃない
I answer myself in place of the mute figure before me. I was not wrong.
私は今まで次々と回ってくる役をダクダクと演じていただけな気がする
Yep.
私は結局何も選んでは来なかった
And somehow, neither has she, because she's also kind of playing a part. Still.
だが私は初めて役ではない自分の意志で選び掴もうと
Yeah.
手を伸ばすことができた
And the thing I've chosen has slipped from my grasp.
いつものことだ
My whispered words echo quietly in the chapel. I wonder if they may have reached Neri's ears, but she remains in prayer, not moving a muscle.
僕が望むものでなく向こうからやってきたものなら
Hmm.
何でもうまくこなせるのに
A cynical smile rises to my lips, a copy of my father's. No, I'm not going to mimic anyone anymore. I take a step forward toward her. Despite my wounds, despite it all, I vow never to stop loving Nerine Komikado.
恋は破れはしたが恋心は散ってなんかいない
That wound is still deep and fresh, but who cares?
たとえ彼女が私を受け入れてくれなくても私は彼女だけを愛そう
That hand she extended to me when we were little. That warm, gentle hand of hers that taught me how to shake hands.
そうだ。僕はあの時からずっと。
My eyes still on her, I pray to God for Nerine Komikado's health and for us always to be together. Ay. Okay then. It's okay, we're gonna see the nice main title screen. And everything is gonna be better, everything's gonna be washed away. Ah. There it is. They're so pretty. Okay, one more. Let's see what the twins end has in stock for us. I have to pick, I think, earlier than this choice, right? Yes, I think this is the one, yes. So here, when we make a choice for Ringo, we choose Ichigo instead of Yuzuriha. So let's see. Twins, I don't know. We don't know that. It's probably just like, I don't know, a nice sisterly thing, right? Right? When I was young, I had a strong sense of self. That's probably why I believed I could do anything and why I was able to act in accordance with that level of confidence. Schoolwork, lessons, gym, you name it. As we got older, the gap between myself and my sister only grew more obvious. And our parents started to treat us differently. What? Why? Like one of us was capable and the other no. That is the worst thing you can possibly do as a parent. Why? Given how dearly I loved my sister, there were two choices. One option would be to protect my sister, to become stronger in order to protect her from all the outrages of this world, whether within the family or outside it. It's a very decent approach, but because of my sister's gentle personality, I didn't choose that option. It's also a little bit self-centered. It's also like you also don't think much of your sister and you think like you should do things on her behalf because she can't do it herself. Okay. I could see that at some point my sister would come to resent being protected. There it is. And so the other option, the one I chose, was brought back to reality by a hand waving in front of my face. I realize I've been away with the fairies. Scooping up my mask from the shallow pool into which it's fallen, I force a smile for my sister who's regarding me with concern. Sitting in my chair, I tap my toes against the floor using the foot I sprained in front of the chapel in the Werewolf of the Bell Tower incident. Why does she describe it that way when that's not what happened? Okay, let's move on. So long as I don't twist it, as I'd have to doing ballet, it doesn't hurt at all. I smile back at my sister, who's sitting up opposite me to eat her lunch. Ay, ay, ay. She grins proudly, and I force myself to keep smiling too. Seemingly reassured, my sister starts to chat happily about what happened in class today, as she munches on her omelette. She explains to me how, since I was attacked by the werewolf, the animosity towards us has disappeared, and how So-chan has put herself forward as a candidate for president of the student council, while Ri-chan is standing for vice president. Oh, this is so cute! Ri-chan. Then,
今のところみんなうまくいっているよ。不満なのはゆずりは先輩と会えないことかな。
she talks around the spoon in her mouth. Then, almost immediately realizing her mistake, she hurriedly flaps her hand in front of her face.
あ、今のはリンゴが怪我したのを迷惑だとか思っているわけじゃないの。ただ会えないのが寂しいなってだけ。わかっていますよ。
I say with what I hope is a comforting smile. It seems to work as she takes another spoonful of her omelette. Right, Yatsushiro-senpai. My sister has been taking my place to meet with her. Even though I'm the one who suggested it, inside I've felt all the suspicion and jealousy that comes with having your lover stolen away. Yeah, that's kind of like what happens. But what's really eating me up inside right now is...
姉が私以上に大切なものを作るということ。ん？どうしたのリンゴ？早く食べないと冷めちゃうよ。
Mechanically lifting a bite of omelette in my mouth, I silently question myself. Instead of becoming stronger in order to protect my sister, I tried to become the same as her. I thought that if I did so, I could get our parents to love us both equally. I dropped my grades to match my sister's, stopped trying in lessons, purposely failed at sports. Aye, girl, that's not the way to go about it. At first, my family was suspicious of the change, but eventually they figured I was simply showing my true colors with age. Just another one of those child prodigies who grows into someone completely ordinary. This irks me. Having lost interest in us, our parents shipped us off to live with our paternal grandmother. Oh god, I'm sorry, such shitty parents. What? Oh, the girls aren't performing up to our standards. Let's just send them to grandmother. Like, what? I didn't feel particularly emotional about it though. After all, while I'd have been happy if they'd showed both of us equal amounts of love, I was loath to be the only one receiving any. It was like my grandmother once said, no matter how delicious it is, food eaten in front of a starving pauper will never taste good.
あんまり美味しそうじゃないね。オムライスって気分じゃなかった？そうじゃないんです。部屋にこもりきりだから食事の時間楽しむために時間をたっぷりかけているんですよ。リンゴは子供だな。それじゃ私の分もあげるよ。はい。
She holds out a spoonful of omelette to me and I obediently eat it. My sister seems satisfied.
いちご姉はいつまでも私のお姉ちゃんなんですよね。何言ってんの？当たり前じゃん。
Seeing her innocent smile, I feel envious of the fact that she's shown that smile to someone other than me.
この嫉妬は
I'm hesitant to explore the feeling further because I know that it's... I stare down at the chicken rice, flavored with tomato sauce and consomme, that was hidden beneath the omelette. Stripped of its eggy shroud, it looks like a completely different meal. Peel back a single layer, and an entirely different emotion is laid bare.
いつまで私は嘘を抱えるのだろう。
I ask myself, how long can I continue to hide these feelings as they slowly grow in solidity? No matter how well you try to hide a lie, it will come to light. Always. Yep. It doesn't care how much effort you make. The truth will come a-knocking. It's like trying to push a balloon underwater. It's not gonna work. I realize that the time's arrived when she comes calling in the middle of the night.
話があるんだ。
She doesn't even need to say it. Her demeanor tells me everything. The figure of my sister hovering behind her only confirms it.
ごめんねリンゴ。私ゆずりは先輩にあのことを。
How we'd been switching places. But that much was already obvious. Rather,
すみませんでした。欺こうと思っていたわけではないんです。これは
分かっている。いちごくんのことを僕はすでに許している。
Yatsushiro senpai pauses for breath, gazing around the room as though looking for some kind of sign.
僕も覚悟を決めた。リンゴ、君も決断しなければならない時に来ているんじゃないか。
She asks me, forcing me to face the truth I want to avoid.
彼女へ告白すると決め。
君とのデートは幸せな時間だった。きっと忘れることはない。
The candle she holds for Nerine Komikado. She must finally have found the resolve to change their relationship. Upon hearing that she's leaving me for someone else,
なぜだろう。
some part of me is relieved.
入れ替わりのことを私が言い出したんです。だから私のことはいいからリンゴのことは。
いちごくん、それは。
妹は本当にゆずりは先輩のことが好きで、だから嫌いにならないでください。
Yatsushiro senpai shakes her head as my sister clutches her arm, pleading with her. She says that she couldn't possibly hate me.
君たちのやったことで嫌いになっただとか、好きな気持ちが陰ったわけじゃない。僕が自分勝手でエゴイスティックなだけなんだ。
I put my arm around my sister's shoulders, telling her it's okay. She looks up at Yatsushiro senpai with tears in her eyes.
私がそうであるように、ゆずりは先輩も大事な人がいることに気づいたんです。いえ、気づかないようにしていることに気づいた。リンゴ。
Yuzuriha senpai gently pats our heads in turn.
信じてくれないと思うけど。
Pet pets for the twins. That's such a nice image in my head.
きっとそういう返事が返ってくるだろうと思っていたよ。
With that, she leaves the room. My sister looks so lonely and forlorn as she stares after Yatsushiro senpai. Without a moment's hesitation, I hug her.
ごめんね。ごめん。私が無理を言ったから。そうじゃないんです。私はお姉ちゃんなのに。
Hugging her tightly, I tell her it's okay. She is shivering and her body is so hot in my arms, she feels feverish.
きっとゆずりは先輩が言い出していなかったとしても、私の方から別れを口にしていました。
She blinks at me with tear-wet eyes. It makes me unbearably happy that those big round eyes are looking only at me. These emotions I hold inside,
私は
I could never let them rise to the surface, but
私は嫉妬していたんです。ゆずりは先輩と私が会っていることに。
I give a barely perceptible nod. Her eyelashes flutter and my heart does the same.
そうだけど、それだけじゃないです。初めは私だけのゆずりは先輩で亡くなることが嫌なんだって思ってました。でも
I open the lid on my emotions, the words climbing up out of my throat.
長くゆずりは先輩のように長く時間はかかったけれど、そうではないと分かったんです。私が嫉妬してるのは リンゴゆずりは先輩だったことに。
Blinking at me in confusion, she asks me why. I plunge on as though Yatsushiro senpai's earlier words about making up her mind gave me the push I needed.
私はイチゴ姉と仲良くしているゆずりは先輩に嫉妬していたんです。一番理解していて一番好きなのに、なんで私が相手じゃないのかって。
My true feelings that I've kept hidden away inside. The sense that half of me was being stripped away when I thought that my sister was becoming someone else's. The fear that rushes in after I've revealed what was meant to be kept hidden drags my head down, so that I can't look her in the eye. All I know right now is the heat of her body and the loud thump of my own heart.
リンゴはバカだな。
She wraps her arms around my back and returns my embrace. I stare at her, shocked that she hasn't immediately pushed me away.
私が一番好きで一番一緒にいたいのはイチゴね。私も初めゆずりは先輩を取られたって気持ちはあったけど、ゆずりは先輩にリンゴを取られたって気持ちもあったんだ。ずっと私を守ってくれてたんだもんね。
At her whispered words, the dam within me crumbles and hot tears rush to my eyes, spilling down my cheeks. My sister, my beloved sister.
知っていてくれたんですね。当たり前じゃん。お姉さんなんだよ。
She hugs me ever so tightly. As the tears fall, I think back on how I'd felt before. That being with my sister had caused me to lose my sense of self, the core of who I was. But that wasn't the case. I was the one who arbitrarily decided it was lost, who just assumed it had disappeared when my sister, Ichigo Sasaki, is and always has been my core. She's the one who's been beside me all this time, and who I can never ever lose.
ねえリンゴ。はい、ずっと一緒だよ。
Mm. What? I guess this was cute, but I wish we had the chance to explore a little bit more the whole dynamic between them and the whole part of Ichigo holding herself, Ringo holding herself back for Ichigo's sake. Because, yeah, I don't know. I understand her intentions, but I don't feel like that's the right path. I feel bad. Also, their parents, jeez. Wow, such parents. Are we done? We should get an extra after finishing this ending. And I'm told, or this is what I understand from what was discussed in the Discord, that this is some sort of, it has relevance for the winter episode. I don't know what's gonna be there, but I guess we will find out. Oh, we get an extra scene as well here. The seasons flow on, slow and seamless. Gentle autumn becomes cruel winter. This winter climate seems like it might have warranted a clearer mark of transition, but it was like the lights dimming in the movie theater. There was no obvious, discernible shift. And it's been the same for us. Somehow I just now noticed that this little froggy here is holding a strawberry. How cute is that? How did I not notice? Was that there before? Because I definitely didn't notice these two big froggies and the apples on the bed, so it's very distinguishable that this is their room. But this one here, it's so cute. Look at it, it's so cute. Anyway, although Yuzuri senpai did give me a kick in the butt.
なんか最近私がお昼担当みたいなんだけど、いちご姉がじゃんけんに弱いのが悪いんですよ。なんか最近リンゴ以外にも負けてる気がする。なんで勝てないのかな。いちご姉は掛け声の時に勝負する手が見えているのですよ。嘘！最近負けてるのはみんな気づき始めたからです。
Our relationship hasn't really changed. My sister thumps the table, huffing dramatically.
今度はくじを作って勝負するから。
She declares with a grin. If we're talking things that have changed...
ゆずりは先輩。
Having found her answer, she left the academy together with Nerine Komikado. Several of her classmates also quit. Oh wow. My heart aches to think of them. Then...
そういえば最近、私たちみたいに昼食をダイニングルームじゃなくて部屋で取るのが流行ってるんだって。きっとそれの走りは千鳥たちですよ。
Trend starter or trend setter, Chidori. Another thing that hasn't changed, even since my sprain has healed, I've continued with the habit of having Ichigo bring lunch to our room. Oh.
今日のお昼はパスタですか。ハマグリのボンゴレだよ。やっぱり春はハマグリだよね。特に春の食べ物だって気はしないんですが。
My sister frowns, commenting that our grandma taught us that.
私はあまり料理が得意ではなかったですからね。おやおや、不出来なおねに合わせて努力を怠っていたのではないのかね。意地悪ですね。
These days we can joke about topics we previously would have avoided. That's good.
そうだ、リンゴ、食事の前にちゃんと用意してくれた？入れておきましたですよ。
I pour her a cup of the coffee I prepared in advance. She never drank it black before, but it seems she developed a liking for it while we were trading places. A parting gift from Yatsushiro senpai, I suppose.
正直、パスタにコーヒーは合わないと思いますよ。どんな料理にもコーヒーは合うよ。そうですかね。
Is it now?
エリカならきっとこう言うよ。食事にコーヒーは欠かせないものだ。さながら海賊とラム酒のように。ってね。
What is that voice? What? She imitates Erika, who we recently patched things up with, and I can't help but laugh at how spot on her impression is. Hearing me laugh, she smiles back.
それじゃいただくとしましょう。あ、ちょっと待って。
I tilt my head as she stops me.
八重垣ちゃんなら料理は温かいうちに食べるのが礼儀だぞって言いますですよ。
Yeah, she's very particular about stuff like that.
エリカなら言いそうだけど、そうじゃなくて食事の前のお約束。
Okay. Okay, I did not expect this. いつもの約束忘れたらやだよ。ボンゴレを食べた後で思い出したらガーリックの匂いが気になりますものね。
ゆずりは先輩、あなたに教えられたように、私は大好きな姉さんとゆっくり大人になっていこうと思います。
Okay then. I guess they went all in for it. Hey, Polly Plushie. Yeah. It's like, how do I put it? there was so much more there to explore and untangle in their relationship and in the way they grew up and stuff like that. But they set that to the side and they went for this thing, which, I mean, I don't know, I guess it works as fan service, but I don't feel it's that relevant for the characters, to be honest. Anyway, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. Right, so now we have an extra option in the menu. Let's see what this is. It feels like a regression. Yeah, it does. It does. It does. The whole thing that, like, it's very important, I believe, of Ringo holding herself back for the sake of Ichigo is like not addressed, not talked about. There's just this little joke that I had here at the end, which means what? Is Ichigo aware of it? Are they, I don't know, are they doing something about it? Are they just brushing it off? Is Ringo just like gonna keep living her life like that? I don't know, I have questions, but yeah, I suppose so. Okay, that was the ending. Okay, I didn't write this. We're here, we read it. We each can feel however we please about it. And yeah, let's see what this one is about. Hopefully it's a palate cleanser. The Tulpa of Agape. As she speaks those words, giving up the name of the key I've been seeking, I felt like claws are scratching at the inside of my chest. Too many endings are annoying. I'm reading Amnesia and I skip all normal bad and extra endings. One good ending is enough. Yeah, I think so. The Ringo ending also was also like there was something interesting there. The one that we did last time, but the two that we did today, there's really nothing there, and it's unfortunate. Well, a familiar but unwelcome feeling, like I stepped on the tail of some repulsive creature. As I struggle to push past the loathsome feeling, Yatsushiro-senpai continues. She speaks of the statue of the Virgin Mary and of how it's stepping on a snake. I see it every morning, yet I've never noticed the snake beneath her feet. The Tulpa of Agape. Hearing those words, I taste bile. Would it be better to vomit it up or fight to keep it down? No, let's not talk about that. It's okay. It's fine. No, please don't do that to me. The urge to vomit rises every time I think of my stepmother, bringing a disgusting feeling to my throat. A cold sweat stands out on my forehead and drenches my body. Yatsushiro-senpai says my name. I think maybe she's concerned by the green tinge to my skin, but it seems that's not the case. She stares hard into my face, but her eyes aren't really looking at me. Her gaze is directed into the distance. Then she tells me she'll give me a farewell gift. Information she gained from an incident 1 year ago. Something scratches against my insides again, bringing with it another wave of revulsion. I ask her what the information may be. Mysteries and keys and clues and stuff. I hear her voice as though from far, far away. Almost in proportion, I feel the shadow of Mayuri Kosaka draw closer. Yes,
あの聖堂での夜からマユリを取り戻すためだけに動いていた。
Yatsushiro-senpai is still gazing at me with eyes that seem directed to something far off, but terribly important. In the brief moment before I can form any words, I become cognizant of the deep silence surrounding us, as though we were at the bottom of the ocean.
マユリ、
The silence settles heavily on my shoulders, and the sweat that was covering my body is replaced by a startlingly piercing cold. I think back on when I first resolved to pursue this. Summer had passed by, like the clouds slowly drifting across the sky. I had stood before the mirror in my autumn uniform, gazing at my reflection. I smiled, but the smile on the girl in the mirror was distant and awkward, her mind made up.
笑えるはずないわよね。
Yes, it was on that day, that night in the chapel, that I received those fateful words from Yatsushiro-senpai.
この学院には神がいる。もう一人の女神が。
Another goddess? What? Deducing that the Council of Nicaea, Yuzuri Hayatsushiro, knew something about the disappearance of Mayuri Kosaka, I begged her. I begged her to tell me where she had gone. But Yatsushiro-senpai told me it was better I not know. At the same time that I despaired, I rejoiced because it proved she knew the circumstances surrounding Mayuri's disappearance. So I pressed her forcefully. I didn't care what became of me. I just wanted to know what had happened to Mayuri. After some hesitation, Yatsushiro-senpai offered me a deal. In return for her giving me the key to solving the mystery, I would have to become the president of the Council of Nicaea.
そんなことでひるむわけがない。
Sue was like, for Mayuri, I'm gonna move mountains, just watch me. Yatsushiro-senpai seemed shocked when I accepted her terms. Perhaps she had assumed that someone as timid and introverted as me would balk. Sorry, what's wrong with me? Or, if I did accept, I'd take my time about it. But I didn't have the time. I couldn't waste a single minute, a single second. I wanted to see Mayuri again.
私はこの学院で一番強い女の子になるの。
Wow, so... I spoke a line like some kind of badass heroine from a movie. Checking that the girl in the mirror reflected myself, I adjusted my necktie. Then, bathed in the gentle light of the morning sun, I headed over to the bed to wake the deeply slumbering Rika-san. In order to fulfill the terms of Yatsushiro-senpai's deal, I sought out the conditions for taking on the position of president of the Council of Nicaea. As it turned out, even to put myself forward as a candidate, I would have to either receive high praise as class president or get excellent grades in the mid and end of term exams, have the recommendation of 2 or more current members of the council, have the recommendation of 1 or more faculty members, attend a discussion panel and win the support of 4 or more members of a panel consisting of both council and faculty members. After all of that, I would be qualified to stand as a candidate, and the final decision would come down to votes in an election. As I wasn't class president, I first busied myself with studying for the exams. The vague definition of excellent grades troubled me. Yeah, not defining exactly what grades, that's a little bit, yeah. So I decided to think about it in the simplest way possible. I just have to come top in every subject. Oh, easier said than done. Still, without anyone noticing, I quietly devoted myself to my studies in preparation for the end-of-term exams. However, just before Halloween, the shapeshifter of the dorm incident came along, a splash of cold water on my fiery resolve. I deduced the culprit and their motive from the information I heard from my classmates in Yatsushiro-senpai, the scars on my heart reopening. The fear that Yatsushiro-senpai would see right through my silly emotions and that the offenders would be judged. But she took those feelings into consideration and came up with the biggest compromise possible. And thanks to that, Halloween arrived safely as I smiled and laughed with my dear Amitia partner, whom you painted in a horrifically realistic way.
時間がかかっているようなのだけど。
Yeah, this is what she's doing right now, right?
すごく格好よくしているから大丈夫。
I'd say to Rika-san, who seemed genuinely concerned. She smiled up at me as I continued doing her makeup.
心配なんかしてないわ。ただ私ばかりに時間を取られて、スオさんの方がおざなりになっているというか。
Because definitely we wanted to see this again, right? Rika-san had already done my bloody makeup in preparation for the party that night. I hadn't looked in the mirror, but I was certain it was plenty good enough.
そんなことない、十分よ。私の方がまだうまくできなくて。
Not as skilled. Okay.
そう？なんだか普通のメイク道具だけじゃないものも使っているみたいだけど。
せっかくだからリッカさんをかっこよくしたいの。時間がかかりすぎて疲れちゃった？
そんなことないわ。その人に顔を触られているのってその心地いいし。
I felt the same way. I hadn't realized that having your makeup done by someone else would be so relaxing.
私もよ。きっとリッカさんにメイクしてもらったからね。
スオさん。
Her eyes brimmed with friendship as she gazed at me. Yep, the makeup around her eyes had turned out perfectly too.
あとは額の方をこれを付け足すと多足かしら。
Rika-san smiled at me as I mumbled to myself.
なんだか最近張り詰めていたみたいだから楽しそうなスオさんを見られて嬉しいの。
I'd tried not to let it show, but of course my amitié had picked up on it. No, please, no, I'm good.
私ホラーやサスペンスものとか苦手だからハロウィンの行事を耳にしたとき本当は嫌だったけど。
She even has multiple expressions on her face with this bright jeez.
スオさんが楽しそうにしているし今は本当に良かったって思っているの。
My nose stung and my eyes prickled hotly at her kindness, but I managed to hold back my tears for the sake of my makeup.
私、リッカさんがアミティエで本当に良かった。
Oh my god.
私も八重垣さんと高崎さんみたいな関係になれればいいのに。
You mean like what, in a relationship? She murmured, her cheeks flushed, and I told her that we were like them.
それはどういう。
私にとってリッカさんはエリカさん的に言うと頼りになる相棒だわ。なんていうかバットマンでいうロビンみたいな。
相棒そうよね。
Her cheeks flushed darker as she nodded. I smiled and took a step back to take in her whole costume.
よし、これくらいにしておきましょう。あんまり繊細な細工にすると給仕するときに取れてしまうかもしれないし。
取れる？細工？
If I try anything more detailed. Can it be more detailed than this? Like, what? Oh god, so...
さあ、準備は済んだわ。そろそろダイニングルームに行きましょう。料理部のみんなが待ってる。
一度鏡を見てもいい？スオさんを信用してないとかじゃなくて。
I primly told her she wasn't allowed. Okay.
互いにメイクするときに鏡は見ないって約束したでしょ。その方が面白いって。
それはそうだけど。
みんなの反応でどんな風だか想像した方が楽しいって話したでしょ。大丈夫よ、リッカさんかっこいいわ。
Oh my god.
本当？
映画のマイフェアレディを思い出すわ。メイクして見違えた。
Which part of my fair lady? What?
それって下町生まれのお花売りの娘を一人前のレディーに育てるってお話よね。
Despite it being one of the most famous movies ever, she still had to check with me. I nodded. My grandfather taught me that the point of a Halloween costume was to transform yourself into something terrifying. Rika-san still didn't look too convinced, but I gave her a little push on the back, and we set off for the party in the dining hall. Oh my gosh. So I guess we skipped the party. We remember how that went. After the fun of Halloween, we moved into the thick of autumn. As the leaves turned, so did my efforts progress. I began my initial preparations for getting the recommendations of 2 or more current members of the Council of Nicaea. I looked into the backgrounds and personalities of the members. While I had the option of using my connection to Komikado-senpai, I was saving that for a last resort. People already knew that I was friends with both Komikado-senpai and Yatsushiro-senpai. I couldn't have received a recommendation from the current president, Yatsushiro-senpai, anyway. But I didn't want people to think I was a schemer trading all my friendships with them to get their recommendations. That's absolutely fair. That was the conclusion I came to when I considered that once I was officially a candidate, I would be relying on votes from everyone in school. A little before plans were made for a hiking event hosted by the cooking club, I used the Sasaki's connections to strengthen my relationship with the second-year students. The Sasaki's connections. Then came the wandering Wendigo of the Woods incident. Rumors that an apparition from the Seven Mysteries had appeared in the forest popped up as autumn was drawing to a close, around the same time as the choir recital. If talk of the Wendigo blew up too much, we could have ended up in a situation like with the shapeshifter of the dorms. I looked into it for Rika's sake, as she was so excited about the choir recital. I arrived at the conclusion that revealing the origins of the rumors wouldn't help anyone. I also concluded that the rumors would probably die down soon. And so I decided to leave it all in Yatsushiro-senpai's hands. Okay. I thought to myself as I listened to Rika-san singing, and let the older girls' rendition of Rainbow Magic soothe my ears. Of course, even as I was working to solve the Seven Mysteries, I hadn't slacked off on my efforts to become the president of the Council of Nicaea. I was able to place top in all subjects in the end-of-term exams, and received recommendations from the current council treasurer and auditor. Then, with Rika-san's help, from a faculty member too. It wouldn't have been strange for her to ask me, yet Rika-san never did. That's nice. However, casting her doubts aside, she made this declaration to me. After all, that's what Amitia partners are for, she said. I was so happy to hear that. I had someone who accepted me completely. It's hard to put into words just how much that meant to me. Then, just as I was finishing preparations to put myself forward as a candidate in the elections, like a bolt out of the blue, the news spread that Ringo-san and Yatsushiro-senpai were dating. The fact that Ringo-san was dating the most popular girl in school drew a certain amount of jealousy from our classmates. Other students who didn't know her so well were more obvious in their envy. In class, Rika-san and I curbed the worst of it, but I'm sure that she was being treated harshly when I wasn't around. Then their relationship crumbled after a painful incident. The werewolf of the bell tower. Ringo-san was attacked by a creature dredged up from old memories. A harsh, unforgivable crime, but also something of a lucky break, if you'll pardon the pun. A lucky break, because she sprained her ankle, I guess, broke her ankle. No, it was a sprain, right? This was because news of the attack mitigated the envy directed her way. However, it also gave rise to new problems. Nerine Komikado confessed to being the werewolf of the bell tower, the culprit behind the crime. Her confession was known only to a few people. The only people present at her trial were the members of the Council of Nicaea and Sister Basket. And I had connections with both sides, particularly certain council members. Emotions swirled within me as I finished the panel discussion. Having received official acknowledgement of my candidacy, I confronted Yatsushiro-senpai as she lay in bed. Through our conversation, I came to realize just how much anger was smoldering within me. I'd meant to encourage her, to reason with her gently. But when I stood before her, out of my mouth came words of rebuke.
コミカドネリネは高坂真由里です。
I asked her why, when I was reaching out for help, she wouldn't offer her hand. The words I'd uttered through my tears, as well as those of Erika and Ichigo-san, had cheered her up. Once she was back on her feet, Yatsushiro-senpai resolved to deal with the werewolf of the bell tower. Then... No, that's all superfluous. The curtain came down on the werewolf of the bell tower incident with only myself, Yatsushiro-senpai, and Erika-san knowing the truth. Then, free from fear for the future. Wow. Free from fear for the future. The alliteration is through the roof there. Yes, very nice. I went ahead and made my campaign speech, putting myself forward for the presidency. On that pleasant winter morning, I awoke bright and early, forced myself from my warm bed, and savored another equally pleasant feeling. My pledges had been approved, and I was officially going to be the next president of the Council of Nicaea. Yes, I had taken another step closer to Mayuri. Every time I said her name, the fire quietly smoldering in my heart spread through my body, filling it with emotion. It wasn't nervousness, just my own wretched emotions. The promised words of succession. Upon receiving those, I'd be able to see her again. I don't think it's that easy. On earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven? Satisfied that the answer I had so desperately sought was right there ahead of me, I... Feeling like I've awoken from an eternal slumber, I let out a long, languid sigh of contentment. I suppose it's sigh, not sight, but okay. The fire in me has cooled. I lie in bed, gazing up at the ceiling. Should I criticize her for leaving the academy without a word to me? Or should I start by telling her everything that's happened since she left? There's too much I want to say. Feeling the cool, clear light of winter against my cheeks, I think of Mayuri Kosaka, the girl with a smile like a sunny spring day. I'm sure that the moment I see that smile, I'll be rendered speechless. The words will die on my lips, killed by the desire to simply feel her in my arms. When Mayuri and I had opened ourselves up to one another, an undeniable magnetism drew us together. When I lost her, at first I wished I could scrub away all the memories up to that point. I felt that if I was causing her to suffer, then it would be better if what had occurred between us just disappeared. My heart and my body still want her so much. And I'm sure she too. But... if she's already thrown away her feelings and written us off as belonging to the past, as soon as the odious thought strikes, a chill runs through me and it feels like the air around me thins. I smile sardonically at the realization that even though I haven't yet been reunited with Mayuri, I'm already going through all the emotions in my imagination. I like an idiot who's in love. Yes, yeah, it's normal. We all did that in some capacity at some point. I say the words out loud. Then I look to the clock and ask him if he thinks I'm an idiot. The clock is wise. Really now. He knows it's better to remain silent. That silence is golden when it comes to this kind of troublesome question. I stare intently at the hands of the clock, willing my own internal clock to sync up with reality. Time to get up. Time to wash my face, do my hair, put on my uniform, and wake Rika-san. The fixed motions of a regular morning. Feeling buoyant, I get out of bed. The glow of hope in my heart has made my body light, but things aren't going to be that simple. There's always a new obstacle to overcome, from bumps in the floor that trip me slightly, to cliffs that could send me plummeting down into the abyss. While their depth and height may differ, they're guaranteed to crop up. No, a cliff isn't the right metaphor. It's more like...
まるで使い勝手のいいゴミ箱のように。
all kinds of problems get tossed my way. And the most recent of them is that Yatsushiro-senpai refuses to tell me the words of succession. That will be the key to getting Mayuri back. She must have some reason. She's not a bad person. I know that, and yet I can't help but look at her with anger in my eyes. Even when she was chatting amiably with the Sasakis in cooking club, I turned a reproachful gaze on her. I was all mixed up, not knowing what to do, when my Amitia partner Rika Hanabishi spelled it out for me. As I was agonizing over it,
八代先輩から伝言を頼まれたの。
she told me.
クリスマスのミサの前に伊豆肉へ来てほしいって。
Those words were like the music of angels to my ears. Had something changed with her? Had the cogs inside her mind turned or been replaced entirely? Unable to stop myself, I'd hugged Rika-san, then counted down the days to Christmas. And now it's arrived. The day my fate will change.
スオ君、
Lots of stakes riding on this day. Right, maybe before we head into the scene, just give me a couple moments and I make a quick run to the toilet. Sorry about that. I'll be right back. There we go. Ugh.
スオ君、
At first her voice is just noise to me, like the rumble of distant thunder. But then, the sight of Yatsushiro-senpai, her figure indistinct like I'm looking at her through a goldfish bowl, brings me back to the present. I'd received the key that will bring me to Mairi. I can feel sweat clinging to my body. Yatsushiro-senpai puts a hand to my cold, clammy forehead.
ひどい顔色だ。椅子に座るといい。
With a hand on the small of my back, she ushers me towards her desk. But I shake my head.
構いません。もう一つの鍵の話をお願いします。しかし、
Bowing my head, I plead with her again. The nausea still hasn't subsided, but I can't lose this chance. After staring intently into my face for a moment, she relents.
僕が君へ与える選別だが、以前聖堂で君が挙げた疑問。
She touches the back of her head.
温室で怪我をしたのを本当に事故だったのかを尋ねた問いだが。
Okay, we're going back to that. Okay. Okay.
それは誰に襲われたのですか？僕の口からは言えない。
I bite down on my lip. She's dodging my questions again. With a cynical smile, Yatsushiro-senpai turns toward her desk, pulls out a notebook, and runs her pen across the page. Still fighting back nausea, I watch her in silence.
犯人の名を口にすることはできないが、アガペのダルマ、高坂真由里へと通じるもう一つの鍵は。
Tearing out the page from the notebook, she hands it to me.
ここにある。
What she's written on the paper isn't any profound statement, nor the name of the culprit. Written there is... Is what? Of course. The name of a place. Okay, that was the thing written. The name of a place. Okay. Pushing aside my impatience, I wait for Christmas Eve to pass. The place written on the note isn't within easy walking distance. It's not close enough for me to slip out of the dining hall where people are celebrating after Mass. After a night where I don't sleep a wink, I run through my usual morning routine, go to class and deal with any issues that have occurred in Iznik. Then at last I set off for the place former President Yuzuriha Yatsushiro gave me.
このまままだまっすぐよね。
Snow has obscured the landscape. Squinting down at the note, I trudge on through the forest, unfamiliar in its white coat, without stopping. A breeze caresses my bare neck and makes the paper flutter in my hand. Rubbing my throat, I hurry onward. A sudden chill on my cheek makes me look up. Snow has started to swirl down from the leaden sky, like ephemeral petals. Nothing in my brain suggests I should turn back before it becomes a real blizzard. I don't believe the novel is going to do anything interesting with this mysterious setup, sorry. I don't even know why it has to be this mysterious. Why all of these, like, riddles and secrets, and I can't tell you exactly what it is, and Yuzuriha not actually having an accident when she hurt herself. How can that be related to Mayuri, unless Mayuri is still on the school grounds and kind of like haunting it like a ghost or something, and keeping a low profile or whatever? None of this really makes any sort of sense to me. Like, if the girl's not there, then she's not there. How would any of this be related to it? I can't imagine. I don't know. Nothing in my brain suggests I should turn back before it becomes a real blizzard. I'm spurred ever onward by the need to check this place out for myself. However, to be honest, I'm only half convinced I'll find it. I have my doubts as to whether this place that supposedly holds the key actually exists. But despite my uncertainties, when I arrive at the specified location, it's there. Run down, dilapidated, but the ruined chapel is there just as she wrote. It's quite far removed from the academy, causing more questions to arise. Why here? Screwing up my eyes through the thickening snow, I examine the chapel. Was the chapel that currently stands beside the academy built after this one collapsed for some reason? I've looked through the almanacs of St. Angrecum Academy, but the school has always stood in the same spot. So why would the chapel be built so far away from it?
それともここは何かの祭儀で使っていたとか。
Special rites? Oh god. What does that even mean? A chapel that didn't see regular use. An inspection of the ruins suggests to me that the cause of its collapse was fire. Areas of the crumbling plaster walls are blackened with soot. It's covered up with snow, but I can still tell that it didn't happen recently. It feels like it burned years, no, decades ago. Again, how would this be related to Mayuri? Okay, a mysterious old chapel that has burnt down. Sure, fine. What does it mean?
これが何を意味しているっていう。
I know, right? So, what does it mean? What the heck? A burnt down chapel, sure. It's given me questions that could provide stepping stones for me. But how is this a key?
何かを見逃している。
The snowstorm is raging harder, the wind roaring in my ears, interfering with my concentration. Ignoring the noise as best I can, I narrow my eyes to stare at the ruins through the falling snow. What happened here? Why is there no mention of this chapel in the Academy's almanacs? I rub the frozen tip of my nose with my finger. My eyes fall on the note still clutched in my hand.
これは
There's a circle drawn around the words chapel ruins. But what catches my attention now is the check mark that sits outside the circle.
聖堂跡からずれているわ。
The circle around the word emphasizes them, and I thought that the check mark was just to provide further emphasis, but raising my arm across my face to shield myself from the blizzard, I set off to search the area around the ruins. The snowstorm rages harder, as though trying to prevent me from reaching the place I seek. Kinzo built this chapel! Oh yeah! Oh yeah. The weather is now so wild, it's going to be quite a hindrance when I set off back to the school. But it's like a fever has gripped me and I can't stop in my search. Even as the wind whips my hair around, I struggle through the drifts of snow toward the rear of the ruins. Then, a conspicuous tree catches my eye. Of course the forest is full of trees, but something about this one stands out. It's a different species.
岩床の木だわ。
I can identify it thanks to my grandfather, whose hobby was horticulture. Standing alone, it immediately drew my attention, but it's also the only tree of its type around. Then, hidden under the trees, something solid hulks beneath the snowdrifts.
もしかして墓標？
At first I thought it was just a piece of rubble from the ruins, but as I stare at the blanket of snow, I see that the elderberry tree is covering a gravestone in the shape of a cross. And I instinctively know that this gravestone, this is the key Yatsushiro-senpai had wanted to give me. Why a gravestone? This is so creepy. With shaking hands, I brush away the snow. I have a really bad feeling. What? There beneath the powdery layer of snow, Roman letters are carved into the stone. Narrowing my eyes against the icy blasts of wind, I read them over and over. But no matter how many times I read the name, it stays the same. As I wrestle with the truth laid out before me, I read the inscription on the gravestone aloud. Basket? Okay.
バスキア。
That's just a family name, though. The tale progresses to the final season. Ah. Okay. Some relative of Dahlia's is buried there. How is that relevant? Ah. Okay, let's have one last look. And it's pretty gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful screen. Let's invoke within us the feelings of the true end of this I don't know, episode, chapter, whatever we want to call it. And say goodbye at the same time, because we're moving to the next one. Gorgeous though. Absolutely gorgeous. Basket Dahlia has been dead the whole time. Okay, then who's the person we know as Dahlia? I don't know. They deliberately showed just the family name, so that we're left wondering. Still, how is that? I don't know. We will find out, I suppose. Yeah. Right. So this has been it. Let's see. We need to transition to the other one. So let me just make a few changes quickly, and then I guess you want me to split the recording in two, right? So we have the beginning of the winter episode separately, yeah? Cut the stream, yeah. Okay, we'll do that. Just give me a sec now to set up for it. There we go. I also need to change the stream name. Just a moment. There we are.